This is Artful Discourse, your weekly escape into the vibrant world of creativity, culture, and intellectual exploration. I'm your host, Benjamin Kirk, and I invite you to join me on a journey through the rich tapestry of human thought and the beating heart of artistic expression at Fresno State's College of Arts and Humanities. Good morning, class. Have a seat and grab your pencil because today we're talking Arts and Humanities 101 with Dr. Honora Chapman, Dean of the College of Arts and Humanities, and Dr. Sergio Laporta, Associate Dean. We'll learn about the departments within the college and why the humanities and the arts are important for a well-rounded education. Dr. Chapman and Dr. Laporta, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
All right, so I want to start off with the name of the College of Arts and Humanities. I think most people are familiar with the arts, but what are the humanities?
Ben, the humanities are all the disciplines that treat the human experience in mostly literary form, but also the spoken form when it comes to communication as well as languages, whether they're English or other languages. We cover both the written and the spoken word in all its manifestations. And we also are the philosophers who dream up the new ideas about how to conceptualize the world we live in, as well as the purveyors of culture to our campus and beyond, because we cover Armenian studies and other cultures throughout Europe and really the world because of the impact of the European colonizers around the world. Our curriculum covers world literature and cultures.
So is it fair to say that the humanities is the study of what makes us human? The language, philosophy, poetry, literature, religion?
Absolutely. And this is why we are so important at this very moment in time, because you see that AI has become such a hot topic in the last year, especially with the arrival of ChatGPT and other products and services that are looming on the horizon. And people are asking, well, then why do we even need someone doing a job if there is a machine that can do it for us? Well, the employers realize they need communicators. They need people who can write and think and orally communicate ideas in a way that a machine cannot. A machine can compile information. It can even make connections between pieces of information, but it cannot create meaning the way a human being can. And a human being understands audience better by reading the facial expression or gestures of the person that they're communicating with in a business setting or in a classroom. And they are far better at doing that than a machine can, at least currently, and I hope always.
It's fascinating, fascinating. Now, the College of Arts and Humanities has 9 departments and an Armenian Studies program, so it's a pretty big college. So I thought we'd play a little game, and I'm going to name each department, and then between the two of you, tell me at least one thing that stands out with that department. And we're going to start with Armenian Studies, and maybe we can start by explaining why it's a program and not a department.
Sure. The Armenian Studies program doesn't offer a major, but it does offer a minor, and it's a comprehensive minor. And it's hard for me to pick one thing that stands out about it, but I would say it serves the largest number of undergraduate students in Armenian Studies classes in the country and supports them with tremendous amounts of scholarships and creates connections between them and the Armenian community. And this, I think, makes it a powerful program within the country. Particularly within the Central Valley, where we're the only real program, and within California.
And now, Dr. Laporta, you have a history with the Armenian Studies program. Can you briefly describe that?
Sure, yes. I'm the Hagen Isabel Barbarian Professor of Armenian Studies. This is my final year as the Professor and Chair of Armenian Studies, and we're looking forward to welcoming our new Chair of Armenian Studies, Dr. David Zakarian, who will be coming in the fall of 2024.
All right. All right, next up we have the Department of Art, Design, and Art History.
Well, first of all, ADA for short is indeed the largest department in the college in terms of students. Last fall, we had 650 students majoring in studio art, in art history, graphic design, and interior design. This is a complex department. It is also a department that has two accreditations, one from the very large National Art Group, and as well as the one that accredits interior design programs. They are highly professionalized in the Department of Art Design and Art History, and they are the one department where you can see most clearly that combination of the arts and humanities in one place, because the art historians are humanists, and they work together to create not just a vibrant educational experience for our students, but one that also really reaches out to the community with fantastic exhibitions. They also have the Center for Creativity and the Art connected to the art department, because our brand new hire as the halftime director of the CCA, Chris Lopez, will also be a tenure track professor in art. And therefore, we have this melding of a community facing organization, CCA, with the curriculum itself. And that's an exciting new angle in the department that allows us to connect our curriculum to the community all the more robustly.
And CCA is the Center for
Creativity in the Arts. Yes, and it was made possible by a very generous gift from Dr. Perenchio, and that allowed for the foundation of this entire organization in our campus, and it has allowed us to connect to the community profoundly through, for instance, the exhibition Nobody Promised You Tomorrow, which occurred right when the pandemic is ending in 2021. And that was a magnificent way to welcome people back to campus. And so CCA is a bridge to the community. But the department itself, in hosting exhibitions, does that every week of the school year.
All right. Next up, we have the Department of Communication.
Sure. I think within the college itself and within the university, the Department of Communication serves the important function of teaching a huge amount of students in the GE area A1, oral communication, how to speak and how to think about argumentation. But I think what makes it most probably famous throughout the Central Valley is the Peach Blossom Festival. That's been going for over 6 decades now, and that brings school children from across the valley to Fresno State in order to perform in oral expression. And that not only gives them a lifelong experience of performance and of joy, really, when you see them, and as well as the audience members, but also creates an early connection with Fresno State. And many of them then come on to become Bulldogs for life. So I would say that was the thing that stands out most about the Department of Communication.
All right. And the Department of English.
The Department of English is a very large department, and the only department in our college that offers a terminal degree, which means the highest degree that can be offered in a discipline. In this case, it is the Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing. English serves an undergraduate student population that studies literature as well as preparation for the field of education as a single subject credential in English literature to be able to teach in high schools. So we have a lot of students in that area. And then they go on to the credential program, whereas the literature students can continue for a master's in literature, but they can also go into creative writing if that's their passion. And the creative writing program has existed for over 2 decades. It is very popular and the only one of its kind in this part of the Central Valley, and it provides a focus for the creators, the literary creators in our entire Fresno County community and beyond, to think about the power of poetry and prose to change the world. And our poets and fiction and nonfiction writers are world class. For instance, going back in time, Philip Levine was a Pulitzer Prize winner, and he also became a U.S. Poet Laureate. Now we have our professor, Mai Dervang, and she was a Pulitzer Prize finalist for poetry. And that shows you the caliber of the people who teach at Fresno State in our creative writing program. And we're excited to see the number of students attracted to this field because they are the future of our country. When you think of the diversity of our students and their specific talents, they're going to be the voice of the future. And they already are through the journals that we have, the Normal School, which we publish, which is a national literary magazine. We also have the Hmong American Ink and Stories journal. We have others as well. So we have a variety of ways of reaching out to the literary community around the country, and now with the web, the world. So it is a vibrant, busy, and exciting place that also welcomes students from high school to come to the Young Writers Conference, and they learn to find their voice with us on the campus, and they receive prizes from the university for their efforts, even while still in high school. And we hope that they will join us at Fresno State to continue honing their craft.
All right, the Department of Linguistics.
Right. The Department of Linguistics is small but mighty. And it really it teaches students about how language works, and also is critical for teaching students how to teach English as a second language. But I would say, to me and to many people, what stands out most is the Indigenous Languages Group, which is working on studying and preserving, in many instances, the language of the indigenous people of the United States of America. And in particular, we can point to the preservation of Chukchansi, the Chukchansi Yokuts people and their language, and the creation of a bilingual dictionary, which is a remarkable step, as well as many grammatical studies of the Hidatsa language that have come out from the faculty members in this group. And they often work, and they always work with members of the local communities, and help revive the sense of pride and love for the language that these people speak, and so they've been able to make sure that these languages haven't died out with the elder generation, but have passed on those languages to younger generations of people who are now speaking them and teaching them to their children. So it's a remarkable project, and I think it's one of the standout features of the Department of Linguistics.
Right, and we just had an honorary doctorate as well
Yes.
that came out of that tradition.
Absolutely. We had Holly Wyatt, who is a member of the Chukchansi tribe, and she has been working with linguistics professors, specifically Nika Nadisa Smito Smith and Brian Agbayani and Chris Golston, for well over a decade, going word by word to create a lexicon, a dictionary of the Chukchansi language, so that in turn, Chukchansi can teach their children their language so that it continues and thrives into future generations. Holly and her sister were among the last 5 speakers of Chukchansi, and the hope is that these kinds of collaborative efforts with scholar practitioners such as Holly Wyatt will lead to the spread of this language among others, because the hope is this becomes a model for how other universities do this and help their local communities of indigenous language speakers to create a legacy for the speakers through the children they train.
All right, the Department of Media, Communication, and Journalism.
This is a storied department that is perhaps best known for the journalism piece because of Professor Roger Tatarian. He was the head of the United Press and internationally, and came back to Fresno as a Fresno native to teach Fresno State students how to do journalism like a pro. And this has become a pride point in the entire valley, that we have a journalism program that was originally based on print news, but now it's digital. And we also have broadcast media, broadcast journalism with our um, amazing journalists, including a brand new professor being brought in for this purpose. Um, who transmit this knowledge to the next generation so that they will go out and be the voices of the people about the issues that are of most concern to the community, Right now, journalism is in a crisis inflection point because they're worried about local journalism. Fresno State is committed to training the next generation of local journalists so that we continue to have a democratic voice in how our communities operate and hopefully thrive. Journalism is a huge piece of maintaining democracy. In addition to that, we have a film and media arts section of the department that is training the next generation of filmmakers. And they are growing. We have a new hire in that area, and it definitely allows us to provide something that is not available in a very wide radius in the Valley, a, a, a real deep training in how to make either documentary or um, fiction films about issues of import for the students. And we have a film festival at the end of the year. And then we have the last piece of the department, last but certainly not least, is public relations and advertising. These students hit the ground running when they graduate because they have been prepared so well, like the other two areas of MCJ, to be the public relations professionals. MCJ has a long tradition of training professionals. They educate them deeply in order to go into industry and make their mark. And the same goes for advertising as well. They have vibrant student clubs, and they really do a fabulous job preparing students for the next step beyond graduation.
All right, the Department of Modern and Classical Languages and Literatures. Now, I'm just going to start off and say that, Dr. Chapman, that's where you came out of. And also, the president of our university, Dr. Saul Jimenez Sandoval, also came out of came up through this program as a professor.
Absolutely. And this is highly unusual and wonderful, that Fresno State has a president who is a humanist who absolutely adores the arts as well and practices them, and therefore has that broad-minded idea about how the world works and what a university really is for, which is the deep investigation of ideas and practices that make our world better after you leave our campus. And he's extremely dedicated to this mission. And we came from the same department, MCLL, as it's now known. When we were hired, it was called Foreign Languages and Literatures. And of course, these are not foreign to the Valley because we teach Spanish, which is the native language of the majority of the Valley's population at this point. And we also teach French and German and Italian and Portuguese. And we have professors in these areas. Unlike many CSUs, which no longer have tenure track professors in these areas, we do because we understand the value of our students learning a culture deeply. Its history, its literature, its art, everything about another place with its language as an intrinsic part of that. And so Spanish is the largest portion of it. But when President Jimenez Sandoval was chair of the department well over a decade ago, he had this vision that every single component of those small language programs really matter. Spanish is not the only thing that matters. And that's the strength of the department, all for one and one for all. And classics is my field, the smallest. And I would say the most vital for the university as a whole, because we are the ones who teach the material culture, the languages, the literatures, the history, everything about the ancient world from the beginning of civilization, basically 4000 BC, all the way to the end of antiquity, and really thanks to Dr. Easton's expertise well into the Middle Ages and beyond, because she's a comparative literature expert. Honestly, we open the door to our students' eyes, seeing that the rich culture of the past actually does not only inform but even impact the way we live now. And I mentioned democracy. That's a Greek word. I used to teach Greek Love teaching Greek, and demokratia is a concept that was first developed by the ancient Greeks. And we really do need to preserve this knowledge as well. And I'm very proud of Fresno State providing the most comprehensive arts and humanities education within a 130-mile radius of our campus. We should be exceedingly proud of this because we are the best, the broadest and deepest, and that includes the languages and literatures in MCLL.
All right, the Department of Music.
Well, the Department of Music is I would say, inexhaustible in the sense that it puts events on all the time. And anybody who's familiar with Fresno State knows that there's almost every night of the week, there's some sort of performance that our Department of Music is putting on. So one cannot say enough about how much of an impact the Department of Music has on our immediate community, as well as the larger community, as people come to hear their events all the time. And we train the music teachers that then go out in the valley and work in the schools. And our faculty is absolutely amazing. From the recently award-winning Dr. Benjamin Boone, who will be receiving a Hall of Fame, Valley Hall of Fame sort of induction this coming fall, and his award-winning CDs that work with Philip Levine and the intersection of the spoken word and music have really elevated the profile of the department and of the college, as well as Dr. Thomas Lowenheim's work with the students in the Valley, not just with our students, but through FUSA and through youth, the Youth Orchestra of Fresno and FUSA, by bringing youth together to enjoy playing music in an orchestra in rapid amount of time, so that in a few weeks, students who were good at their instruments but had never played in an orchestra before are performing major works by Tchaikovsky, Prokofiev, Stravinsky. It's really an amazing thing for both the parents to see and people who come to listen to these concerts. The Fusa one that was just recently held at Disney Hall down in Los Angeles, again, had a huge crowd that then they came back to the Soroyan Theater and they had a huge crowd here. So it's really remarkable, all the work that the instructors in the music department, as well as Steve McKeithen, our professor of band, who does the marching band. So anybody who goes to our football games knows the excellence that's achieved there on the field. That also received national renown. So a great department, and we're really lucky to have all the faculty there that we have.
All right, the Department of Philosophy. And Dr. Laporta, you actually served as chair for a period.
Yes, I did. I was the chair of the Department of Philosophy for 2 years. It was a pleasure to work with the philosophers. We did a lot of philosophizing. That was, really, every department meeting always veered away from the mundane into more abstract thinking about the reason why we're doing things, just as you would expect from a Department of Philosophy. But really what stands out there, other than the individual faculty members, is the devotion they have for their students. They really care about their students. They mentor their students. There's a one-on-one relationship oftentimes between the faculty members and the students. They know each one of their students. And in addition to philosophy, we also have religious studies. That's part of that department. And recently, Dr. Vina Howard has really grown, particularly in terms of the teaching of Hindu and Jain studies, as well as the studies of M.K. Gandhi, with the establishment of an endowed chair in Hindu and Jain studies, as well as the M.K. Gandhi Center. So the addition of these two, I would say, high-profile programs/positions, I think, really puts Fresno State on the map.
All right, and finally, the Department of Theater and Dance.
Last but not least, theater and dance. Dance is the most recent major in the department, having been formed back in 2017. And we're very excited about that because it's grown since its inception. And the dancers, of course, produce a beautiful show every February in the John Wright Theater for the community. Theater, and I'm very excited about this year's lineup of shows. It's fantastic. And our directors are so committed to choosing plays that reflect not only the the amazing corpus of theatrical works that are available, but also that will speak to our students and their backgrounds and their interests and address issues of concern about issues of sexuality and race and the way we get along politically and the way society functions as a whole. This has always been the purpose of theater. Going back to classics, the whole point of theater is that the community comes together to think about a big idea. And our department really understands that, and they address and explore issues of import for our community, for our campus and community through the productions um, that they end up providing us. And we also have, of course, the professors of theater history and the professors who prepare the students to run the shows. They learn every element. The thing about Fresno State that's so marvelous is that we don't hire staff to do everything for us. Instead, we have the staff, of course, as professionals, but the students learn by doing. So they actually learn how to do the lighting properly so that they can go out and get an internship or even a job doing it. Or the costumes and the makeup and set design and directing. They really learn viscerally how to do this work as theater majors. They are accredited as well, as is the music department, along with art and interior design, as I said before. So we have highly professionalized arts departments, including theater and dance, and we're very proud of them. And theater education will be coming online as a new credential track right now. And we're excited that we have a new professor for that as well. So we're basically always growing and reconceiving all of our department's programming in order to meet the needs of our current moment and to look ahead at what the Valley needs in the future by providing it now as an education.
All right. Now, moving on from the departments, I did want to ask this question. We only have a couple minutes left, but in a world that's increasingly focused on science, technology, engineering, and math, why should students consider a major or minor in the humanities or the arts?
I believe it goes back to what I said earlier, which is to be an expert in how human beings think about their world, how they express themselves in writing, how they speak to one another and understand each other through communicating orally and in writing. That is the most powerful thing for managing a complex world in an increasingly diverse society. We prepare our students to be successful in the future precisely because they understand the complexity of the human spirit and how we get along culturally with one another or don't, and how to make the world better through the understanding of how people think and communicate with one another in a variety of ways through the arts and in living. And therefore, I really believe it's central. And that's why the CSU is such a wonderful university system, because its robust general education program does require students to take arts and humanities courses that other university systems do not, including private schools. And I think our students benefit from that education.
All right. Well, we're just about out of time for today, but I want to thank both of you for coming. And really, we're not even finished with this topic. So if you'd like to learn more about the College of Arts and Humanities, you can visit our website at cah.fresnostate.edu or read the latest on our blog at fresnostatecah.com. Artful Discourse is a production of the College of Arts and Humanities at California State University, Fresno. The Dean is Dr. Honora Chapman, and the Associate Dean is Dr. Sergio Laporta. This program is written, directed, and produced by me, Benjamin Kirk, the college's communication specialist. The theme song for Artful Discourse is Maiden Voyage by Fresno State music professor Benjamin Boone from his album, Joy. More information about his music can be found at benjaminboone.com. Special thanks to KFSR and FSR Underground General Manager Julie Lindahl for making this show possible. You can learn more about the College of Arts and Humanities and find an archive of our shows at our website, cah.fresnostate.edu, or on our blog, fresnostatecah.com.